on.
Township Parsippany-Troy Hills, regular meeting, Township Council meeting, December 18, 2012. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with requirements of open public meeting law. Following notice in the office of the Township Clerk, posting meeting notice on the bulletin board, Municipal Building, December 15, 2011, where it's remained since that date. Legal notice appeared both Daily Record Star Ledger, forwarded by fax to local newspapers, local radio stations, December 19, 2011. Note, council meetings are videotaped, aired on Cablevision Public Access 21, 1 p.m. Saturdays, available for viewing at www.parsippany.net. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Here.
Mr. DePiero.
Here.
Mr. Ferrara.
Here.
Mr. Nelson.
Here.
Council President Stanton.
Here. Also present, Jasmine Lim, Business Administrator, Paul Cazarelli, Assistant Business Administrator, John Inglesino, Township Attorney, Yancy Wazirmis, Township Clerk. Our mayor will be with us shortly. Please rise for a flag salute. Remain standing, please. Mr. DiPiero.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for a second, please. Just like to take a moment of silence for the tragedy in Connecticut, the elementary school. Thank you. Upcoming meetings, January 3rd, 2013, 7:30 p.m., reorganization agenda meeting, public invited, public participation. January 15, 2013, 7:30 p.m., regular meeting, public invited, public participation. Bids to be taken, December 20, 2012, 11 a.m., sealed proposals for one new 2013 International Model 4300 SBA garbage truck, 14-yard split-side load packer body for Parks and Forestry.
Make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Motion to go into closed session by Mr. Creepy, second by
Well,
Mr. Farrar.
Mr. Council President, we should specify that the purpose of going into closed session is to discuss prospective litigation as well as to discuss matters of attorney-client privilege.
And labor contract.
And I think there is another item regarding contract negotiations, all of which are valid exceptions under the Sunshine Law.
Okay, motion by Mr. Creepy, second by Mr. Farrar. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, resolution, whereas the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law of 1975, Chapter 231 permits the exclusion of public from a meeting in certain circumstances, whereas Township Council, in the opinion such circumstances presently exist, whereas Township Council wishes to discuss potential litigation, labor contract negotiations, attorney-client privilege. Whereas minutes will be kept once a matter involving confidentiality no longer requires confidentiality, minutes can be made public. Now, therefore, be resolved by Township Council, Township Parsippany-Troy Hills, public be excluded from this meeting.
Second.
Motion by myself, second by Mr. Farrar. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. We'll be back. Farrar, second by Mr. Creepy. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. Ordinances, second reading and public hearing. Ordinance 2012:46. Mr. Farrar.
Ordinance 2012:46. An ordinance amending ordinance 2012:35 entitled authorizing the acquisition by purchase of properties located in the township throughout the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program by adding a property. The above ordinance was published in its entirety in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, on December 7, 2012.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Farrar, second by Mr. Creepy. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to open this ordinance to the public.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. DiPiero. Second by Mr. Creepy. All in favor?
Aye.
We're not done.
Yes.
All right. At this time, I'd like to open up this ordinance to the public. You'll be given 3 minutes.
Joe Raich, 8 Wolf Place, Parsippany, New Jersey. I rise with talking about your FEMA grant and requesting to know what we've done in reference to the recommendations by your environmental committee to make changes in lieu of Hurricane Irene and the future
Mr.
possibility
Raich,
of
we're talking
episodes.
about this ordinance here, adding a property. That would be for open.
It's for,
This
it's
is
a
on this
purpose,
ordinance.
it's FEMA to go ahead and, am I incorrect in assuming that it would be for FEMA to go ahead and do knockdowns and
But we're talking
purposes?
We're talking
specific.
about purchasing this,
Purchasing
talking about this
properties and
specific
and
one.
breaking
One
down,
property.
and, huh?
just one.
We're talking about one specific. I think
One
what you're
s-
talking about would be for the open public.
This is adding to the list of the other properties
Yes.
that we have previously authorized, yeah.
So there've been others.
Yes.
So I think it is right to go and stand on this issue at this time, asking for the recommendations of your own select committees, your own your own committees of constituents, and using their expertise and their engineering and asking for the status of what has been done and what we ought to do in regard to making changes and mitigating floods in the Lake Hiawatha region and the rest of the town. What has been done about your recommendations from your environmental committee?
Maybe he's talking about the study, the presentation, maybe, I don't know.
I'm not sure what
This-
recommendations you're talking about.
I was at an environmental committee where they were making recommendations, and
Did they
I
make-
assumed that I'd like to know what the
Who did they make
status
the
is.
recommendations to? Themselves?
I guess I must have been delusional. I was there. The mayor was there, and
Here's what happened.
Ferrera was there.
There was no
Mr.
recommendations made. What they would
Mr.
recommend.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, I mean, I don't know if that Mr. Raich's comments really relate to the ordinance.
I figured it was open session.
This is a public session on a particular ordinance. that
Oh,
is
what's
to
the
be
ordinance?
Considered with regard to the act.
The grant.
6, add in the house.
Oh, then that's,
Yeah, I mean, I think, Mr. Raich,
That's
your
for the public.
your comments don't pertain directly to the ordinance that is before the council
I
at
get
the
it.
moment, for which this
I
is
guess
a
I got my
public
answer.
hearing
Thank
on.
you.
But your comments are certainly appropriate at the open public session of the meeting, when it's open for any topic, for anyone to discuss.
I guess I got my answer. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else come forward on this ordinance, I'd entertain a motion to close the public.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Karifi,
Second,
second by Mr. Farrar. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes, Mr. Farrar.
Whereas the above ordinance was read in title on second reading and a hearing held hereon, now therefore be resolved that the said ordinance be passed on final reading, and that a notice of final passage of said ordinance be published in the newspaper according to law.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Farrar, second by Mr. Karifi. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes,
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes, ordinance 2012:47. Mr. DePiero.
Make a motion to eliminate ordinance 2012:47.
second,
Motion by Mr. DePiero, second by Mr. Farrar. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Still thinking. And this is just a motion to table,
No.
to remove. To remove. No.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. Ordinance 2012:48. Mr. Karifi.
An ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, to amend and supplement the Township Code, Chapter 329, Sewer, Section 329-17, entitled Sewer Rental Fees, for the purpose of reducing fees. The above ordinance was published in its entirety in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, on December 7th, 2012.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Karifi, second by Mr. Farrar. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to open this to the public, this ordinance only. You'd entertain a motion to open this to the public.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Karifi, second by Mr. Farrar. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, open this to the public, ordinance 2012:48. See no one come forward, I'll entertain a motion to close this ordinance.
Make a
Second.
motion.
Motion by Mr. Karifi, second by Mr. Farrar. Mr. Karifi.
Whereas the above ordinance was read in title on second reading and a hearing held thereon. Now therefore be it resolved that the said ordinance be passed on final reading, and that a notice of final passage of said ordinance be published in a newspaper according to law.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Karifi, second by Mr. DePiero. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. I'd like to entertain a motion to open this to the public hearing.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Karifi.
Second.
Second by Mr. DePiero. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. Open to the public now. You'll be given 5 minutes to speak. See no more.
Is he coming or what? What did he say?
He's coming.
Come on, Joe.
We're taking 2 minutes from
We'll
you.
let you
though.
arrange that. No, you're the only one. I was not at the meeting.
Certainly won't take 2 minutes. So I will repeat what has been done about the environmental committee's recommendations to make changes to
Joe.
the
I'm sorry, can you just repeat your name, that's all?
Joe Ray, 8 Wolf Place,
Thank you.
Parsippany.
Thank you.
Okay.
First of all, there was no recommendation from the Environmental Committee in regards to, I don't know what you're talking about, but they did a
You're there.
report, they did a study.
Yes.
And the study was regards to the flood in Lower Lake Hiawatha. And they presented that in a presentation to the Township Council, that study. But there was never a recommendation from the Environmental Committee. They never recommended anything.
It was a
You're
fun,
you're talking about when we had the flood, that the Passaic River backed up, and what
Yeah.
caused the flood here
Right.
was the backups all the way down to the Hudson
Right,
River.
and- but there was no
backed up all the way
recommendation.
over here. That was a very nice detailed analysis of what happened, but there was no recommendation there on how that I
it was a
aware.
presentation to this council.
Go to the public.
Right.
Right.
The council had the presentation by the
Yes.
committee.
By the environmental.
Yes.
No.
And did they not ask for or recommend that the retention area be made larger?
No.
No.
Not to my knowledge.
Wasn't that one of the recommendations?
No.
I mean, no. And
You
that
can't just-
meaning,
I was
can't
sitting
just-
there at
you
the
can't just
meeting and
make
you
it
were,
larger.
and, you know.
That storm wall, I'll give you some history, Joe, because you may not be aware of this. When we designed and built that storm wall back in the 80s,
It's a 50-year flood or
100-year flood,
100 year.
okay? Now, a 100-year flood wall at that point in time cost us $2.2 million, and you see the height of
I
it,
recall.
okay? Now, if we had decided at that point in time we wanted to build a 300-year flood wall instead of a 100-year flood wall, it would not have cost $2.2 million. It's not just a matter of making the wall higher. If you make the wall higher, you have to make the base deep, you have to make it go deeper into the ground, and you have to make the base much wider. The cost for a 300-year flood would have been about $12.2 million instead of $2.2 million.
The township,
And the water still would have come over the 300-year flood wall, because that was a 500-year flood. If we had decided we wanted to, this is 1986.
I recall.
Dollars I'm talking about, not today's dollars, okay? If we had wanted to build a 500-year flood wall back in 1984, 5, whenever we've completed that, okay? That would have been $40 million. just to go up several feet higher, because you got to go many more feet deeper and you have to go many more feet wider. Okay? So the cost does not go up linearly, it goes up exponentially the higher you make it.
Was it not recommended that they make it a larger retention area at the time?
What year are you talking about? When it was built, or?
Yeah, when it was built.
Oh.
And certainly now, it might have been done now.
Joe, we spent $480,000 for a pumping station.
But we did it
That
without,
solved about 95% of the problem in Lower Lake Hiawatha.
without the aid
And
of
then
the
we
head
built a
feds.
100-year flood wall for $2.2 million. That solved the other 8 or 10% of the problem. And there were no problems down there for 28 years, so
I realize
the wall
that.
was doing its job. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This happened to be a phenomenal situation where we had a 500-year flood, and it wasn't just this river that backed up. It was every river from the Hudson River on back up into the mountains that backed up. The center of Denville was underwater. They never had water in the center of Denville before. All their stores
But the
were
Army
flipped out.
Corps did recommend that when they initiated it, that it be a larger endeavor.
First of all, the Army Corps did not initiate it. The Township Council and Mayor initiated it. Okay, the Army Corps didn't. They had to approve what we were doing, but they did not initiate it. This is first
But
of
they
all.
didn't pay for it, the township did. That's true.
Well, no, the township paid for a portion of it, and we got federal money
30 seconds.
to pay for a portion of it also. But it was all built to Army Corps standards.
Well, I still stand behind the recommendations. Thank you.
But let me ask you this one question. Are you talking about the meeting at the PAL?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's different than this. Mr. Rice was at a meeting with the Environmental Committee, myself, and Councilman Ferrera. Now, this is, I don't know if it was before or after the report was done. They never said they were going to make a recommendation on what you wanted. You were interested in a bill. I think that bill was Bill 267.
Correct.
Okay, okay. Well, that recommendation doesn't come from them. It comes from the legislators, which is the senators and
Yeah,
assembly.
I'm
which-
still pressing for that.
Well, I think that died in the committee. When I'm trying to find out why it died, but from what I understand, it didn't go forward. That Bill 267.
It had been sitting in the committee since January
Right.
of 2011.
Right. So
As far as
don't
I know, it's still active.
But I think that's what you're talking about, not actually the report. But there was no recommendation, from what I can recollect, from the Environmental Committee in regards to Bill 267 or in regards to the retention wall or the basin or anything like that.
Or any of their recommendations.
So they never presented us with a recommendation that I can recollect, Joe. So I'll look back into the records.
You come back to some meeting in February, you could come back. Second Wednesday.
I'm sure
at the
it'll still
PAL.
be here.
No, I don't mean here, I mean to the Environmental Committee.
Oh.
And ask them.
If you'd advise me as to when it would be.
Second Wednesday
Second Wednesday?
in February.
Seeing no one come forward, I'd like to entertain a motion to close the public session.
Make a motion.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Karifi, second by Mr. Farrar. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. Consent agenda. Be it resolved, all items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine, non-controversial by the Township Council, be approved by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member so requests. In case the item will be removed from the consent agenda, considered in its normal sequence on the agenda.
Second.
Motion
Mr.
by
Ca- Mr.
myself.
Council President?
Second by Mr. DiPiero. Before we go forward, Mr. Nelson, you had a question?
Yeah, I just have a question on the first item on the consent agenda. I guess this is for Jasmine. I told you at the last meeting, negotiating health contracts for municipality is all new to me. The cost of this $9 million cost for the health plan, does that include, excuse me if the term is wrong, but stop loss insurance?
Yes,
Okay, so that's including any additional insurance we need to?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. Ordinances for introduction. Ordinance 2012:49. Mr. Nelson.
An ordinance amending Section 285-4, Schedule A, No Parking Fire Zones of Article 1 of Chapter 285, Parking of the Code of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills to establish fire zones and regulate parking at 819 Edwards Road, Block 767, Lot 14. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on first reading at a meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on December 18th, 2012, and that said ordinance be further considered for second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on January 15th, 2013 at 7:30 p.m., prevailing time or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached, at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Nelson, second by Mr. DiPiero. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. Non-consent agenda resolutions. Mr. DiPiero. Number 1.
Resolution opposing S 2114 and A 3317 concerning registration of multifamily dwellings under the hotel and multiple dwelling law.
Second.
Motion by Mr. DiPiero, second by Mr. Karifi. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
No.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. Mr. Farrar, number 2.
Resolution authorizing the cancellation of 2012 Knoll Country Club water and sewer receivable balance.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Farrar, second by Mr. DiPiero. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
No.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. Mr. Karifi, number 3.
Resolution authorizing the cancellation of an off-duty receivable.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Karifi, second by Mr. DiPiero. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Add-on resolution.
Sorry, Mr. Stanton.
Yes.
I needed your roll call vote.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Add-on resolutions. Mr. Nelson, number 1.
Resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills authorizing submittal of a Highway Safety Fund grant application to the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Route 46 Safe Corridor Project.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Nelson, second by Mr. DiPiero. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. Mr. DiPiero.
Resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills granting a major soil moving permit to Toyota Motor Sales USA, Inc., Block 737, Lot 4, 300 Weebrow Road.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
DiPiero, second by Mr. Karifi. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to amend the agenda for 2 more add-on resolutions.
Second.
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. DiPiero, second by
sorry.
Mr. Farrar. Mr. Farrar, number 1, please.
Resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills authorizing an agreement with the AFSCME Council 52, Local 2867, relative to the compensation for work performed during Tropical Storm Sandy, October 29 throughout October 31st, 2012. Whereas extraordinary events surrounding Tropical Storm Sandy and its aftermath caused municipal offices to close on October 29, October 30th, and October 31st, 2012, semicolon. And whereas conditions require members of the AFS-CME bargaining unit to report for duty during this time, semicolon. And whereas a discretionary bonus should be granted in recognition of the extraordinary service rendered by the members of the AFS-CME bargaining unit who reported to work during this emergency situation, semicolon, and whereas a written side letter of agreement incorporating the terms of the agreement had been approved by representatives of the township and AFS-SME Council 52, Local 2867, semicolon, and whereas members of AFS-SCME Council 52, Local 2867, have ratified the terms included in the side letter of agreement. Now therefore be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills as follows. Number one, that it does hereby approve the term of the above referenced side letter of agreement by and between the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills and AFSCME Council 52, Local 2867, and authorizes the mayor and the township clerk to execute the site letter of agreement on file in the office of the township clerk. Number two, the parties acknowledge that the terms set forward in the site letter of the agreement are based on the unique circumstances of the emergency resulting from Tropical Storm Sandy and its aftermath. Number three, the parties agreed that the terms set forward in this agreement shall not constitute precedent, shall not constitute an amendment or supplement to the AFSCME labor contract, and shall have absolutely no force or effect in any other circumstances, comma, but shall be limited only to work performed between 12 a.m. and 11:59 p.m. on October 29th, October 30th, and October 31st, 2012, period.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Farrar, second by Mr. DePiero. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. Mr. Karifi, number two.
Resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills authorizing an agreement with Parsippany Public Employees, one, relative to compensation for work performed during Tropical Storm Sandy on October 29th through October 31st, 2012. Whereas extraordinary events surrounding Tropical Storm Sandy and its aftermath caused municipal offices to close on October 29th, October 30th, and October 31st, 2012. And whereas conditions required members of the Parsippany Public Employees 1, PPE 1 bargaining unit to report for duty during this time. And whereas a discretionary bonus shall be granted in recognition of the extraordinary service rendered by the members of the PPE 1 bargaining unit who reported to work during this emergency situation. And whereas a written side letter of agreement incorporating the terms of the agreement has been approved by representatives of the Township and PPE 1. And whereas members of PPE 1 have ratified the terms included in the side letter of agreement. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills as follows. Number one, that it does hereby approve the terms of the above referenced side letter of agreement by and between the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills and Parsippany Public Employees 1, and authorizes the mayor and township clerk to execute the side letter of agreement on file in the office of the township clerk. Two, the parties acknowledge that the terms set forth in the side letter of agreement are based on the unique circumstances of the emergency resulting from Tropical Storm Sandy and its aftermath. Three, the parties agree that the terms set forth in the agreement shall not constitute precedent, shall not constitute an amendment or supplement to the PPE 1 labor contract, and shall have absolutely no force or effect in any other circumstance, but shall be limited only to work performed between 12 a.m. and 11:59 p.m. on October 29th, October 30th, and October 31st, 2012.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Karifi, second by Mr. DePiero. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes. At this time, I'd like to entertain the ultimate motion.
I make the ultimate motion.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Ferrara, second by Mr. Karifi. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes.
Everyone have a nice holiday.
Happy holidays,
Be
everyone.
safe out there.